Let me tell you what it feels like to be introduced to the cops at 2 a.m. as the homeowner refusing access to the cooling facility. Yeah, that's how I met the business end of Victoria's midnight drama, standing barefoot in my own driveway, watching police lights strobe across my front lawn like I'd just committed armed robbery, and all I did was own a pool. If you think I'm exaggerating, you've never seen the way an HOA president can weaponize community safety for her own power trip. You know what I mean? Some folks collect stamps. Victoria collects authority. My bedroom faces the street, so when those red and blue lights hit, my whole room went from blackout to disco hell. I stumbled outside in pajamas, heart pounding, figuring maybe somebody's house got broken into, maybe a medical emergency. I was not expecting to find Victoria in a robe and pearls like she was auditioning for Real Housewives HOA edition, standing in my driveway with two business types scribbling notes like they were prepping for a TED Talk on my lawn. And the cop, Officer Brooks, he looked like he'd rather be writing parking tickets behind a Walmart. There he is, Victoria calls out like she's just caught El Chapo. This is the homeowner refusing access to the designated cooling facility during a heat incident. I look at Officer Brooks, still trying to process whether this is real life or an ambient fever dream. "Sir," he says, reading off his notebook, "we got a 911 call about obstruction of crisis services. The caller claims you're preventing access to a designated cooling facility during a county heat alert." And he gestures toward my backyard where my pool is shimmering peacefully under the moon, right where it's been for the last 3 years, chlorine fence, private property signs and all. So at 2 a.m. with the night breeze blowing and Victoria waving a binder like she's launching a press conference, I say my pool is not a cooling facility. It's my backyard. Simple, right? Apparently not simple enough. The business folks keep writing things down, which is making me nervous. Like, what are they auditing my floaties now? Victoria launches into the speech about county heat disaster protocols and how HOA authority designates crisis resources. She hands Officer Brooks a sheet with some seal on it. Looks legit, but the minute I get a peek, I know it's phony. And Brooks, bless his patience, starts to smell the crazy. "Ma'am, this doesn't have any proper county signatures or codes. Are you sure this is official?" For a second, Victoria's mask slips, but then she snaps right back. "Standard HOA crisis procedure. We can't wait for bureaucracy when lives are at stake." And that's when it hits me. This isn't about a heat incident. This is Victoria staging a midnight disaster drill for her audience of insurance auditors, who are the very people standing in my driveway, and she's called 911 just to make it look real for the paperwork. I say, "So you called the police to declare my private pool a public resource without telling me, just to impress these folks?" One of the auditors finally cracks a smile. Victoria doubles down, talking about how the HOA's incident powers supersede individual property rights. That was her line right out loud, no shame. Officer Brooks is squinting at her paperwork like it might start smoking in his hands. I say, "Disaster powers, Victoria. You're not the governor. You're an HOA president. And this isn't even a real incident. It's a staged insurance play." The auditor asks on the record if there's any legal authority for property designation without owner consent. Victoria's mouth opens, but Brooks cuts in. "I'll check with county dispatch." Her confidence evaporates like water on a Texas sidewalk. Dispatch comes back quick. No heat alerts, no cooling facility designations, no authorization to commandeer anything. The auditors start heading for their car, clearly realizing they're in the middle of amateur hour. Brooks gives Victoria her paperwork back. "Ma'am, filing false incident reports is a criminal offense. So is misrepresenting government authority. I'll need to file a report about this." Victoria's face goes from beet red to sheet white. You could see her calculating her escape route right then and there. And here's the kicker: she still tries to spin it. Derek's refusal to cooperate created this emergency. The insurance evaluation was scheduled to assess our preparedness, but Brooks isn't having it. There's no misunderstanding about fraudulent reports or fake documentation. You'll be hearing from the sheriff's office. So now I'm standing there in the driveway with the cop, the auditors, and Victoria, who is now very much alone. And just before I go back inside, she throws this over her shoulder. "This isn't over, Derek. You have no idea what you've started." And I swear to you, that's when it clicked. Victoria's late-night pool heist was just Act 1. 3 hours of sleep later, I'm chugging bitter coffee and scrubbing through my home security footage because if someone calls 911 to steal your pool, you start getting real paranoid real fast. What I see in the video, Victoria and her auditor pals snooping around at 1:28 a.m., a full half hour before the so-called emergency call. They're out there surveying, pointing at my property, having a detailed chat. She's not worried, not flustered, not running a crisis. She's showing off my backyard like she's selling timeshares. Then I start digging through the HOA's online portal. And I'm good at this, okay? 15 years in cybersecurity. I know my way around a digital footprint. Victoria's email threads go back 3 weeks, where she's literally pitching this whole midnight drill for insurance auditors. I find documents, fake county seals, template files, everything on the HOA shared drive, just waiting to be filled out for showtime. And on her calendar, 2 a.m., evaluation 8 a.m. meeting, labeled Success Metrics. I call Lisa, our HOA attorney, and lay it out for her. Lisa's reaction, Derek, this is insurance fraud, false authority, unlawful designation. It's all criminal. You need to file reports with the police, the county, and the insurance company. And I realize if I let Victoria get away with this, she won't just stop at my pool. She'll try the same stunt with someone less stubborn next time. I decide, okay, game on. Now here comes the twist, Ethan. Victoria's son knocks on my door. Poor kid. Just home from college, looking sheepish as a stray dog. He apologizes for his mom, says he's overheard her talking about premium discounts for HOAs with proactive crisis management. She'd been trying to turn my pool into a line item on her financial spreadsheet, never mind the fact that it was, my property. Ethan even admits she'd been skipping consent because in a real crisis you can't wait for red tape. Yeah, right. Only there was no crisis, just a mother on a mission to pad the bottom line. The evidence piles up, witnesses' emails, router logs showing Victoria editing HOA policy docs at midnight to make it look like her actions were pre-approved. My doorbell cam even catches her setting up props, orange cones, a folding table, a fake cooling station sign at 12:55 a.m. She literally turned my front yard into a movie set. And then, after her scheme blows up, she sends a community-wide email painting me as the villain for refusing to share life-saving resources. The woman could have had a second career in propaganda. Lisa and I put together an airtight complaint package. I walk into the county fraud office with 2 hours of security footage, a digital trail of policy edits, fake documents, and 2 neighbor witnesses who'd seen Victoria rehearse her performance at midnight. Detective Martinez, who's seen her share of HOA drama, calls it a textbook case of authority impersonation and fraud. And that's when Victoria goes nuclear. First, it's emails painting me as a litigious troublemaker. Then it's legal threats. She hires a lawyer, sends me a certified cease and desist letter, threatens a $50,000 lawsuit if I don't drop my complaints. The wildest part, her attorney includes confidential police details, stuff that hadn't been released. Turns out Victoria's got an inside source leaking info from the investigation. Detective Martinez sets up a counterintelligence sting, feeding out fake details to different people. Within hours, Victoria's walking around my property, flashlight in hand, searching for evidence that only existed in the planted story. The leak gets traced, the inside woman arrested. Meanwhile, the insurance company launches their own probe, threatening to void the HOA's coverage because of Victoria's shenanigans. Now everyone in the neighborhood's feeling the pain. Victoria tries one last Hail Mary, files a false police report claiming I threatened her. But thanks to Ethan, we're ready. Cops catch her on security footage, digital forensics blow her evidence to pieces, and the case mushrooms into felony fraud, harassment, stalking, evidence fabrication, you name it. The courtroom drama is pure justice. Judge Thompson doesn't buy a word of her community service gone wrong defense. The verdict, guilty on all charges. Victoria gets 2 years in prison, 5 on probation, has to pay back $37,000. And here's the cherry. 200 hours of community service, actually learning real disaster management. The fallout changes everything. The HOA rewrites all its rules. Now nobody touches your property without written consent, county verification, and board approval. Victoria's props get donated to the county for use in real disaster training. Her name gets scrubbed from every HOA record, and neighbors who once cheered her on now avoid eye contact in the grocery store. Ethan transfers colleges. Neighbors apologize. And as for me, I finally get to sit by my pool, coffee in hand, with nothing but the sound of birds and a real emergency antenna in the distance. A reminder that actual safety takes real work, not power plays. So tell me, if someone tried to steal your property and ruin your life, would you feel satisfied watching them face justice? Or would you feel sorry for the family left behind? Drop your thoughts below. Ever dealt with an HOA president gone rogue? I want to hear your story. If this one hit home, leave a kind word hit, like maybe tap that little thanks button. Take care out there and guard your fences.